What if every action that you took in your business wasn't just a step toward growth, but a step aligned with God's purpose for your life? What if each task, each meeting, each decision were infused with clarity and direction? Whew! Knowing that you were rooted in the framework designed not by the latest trends, but by a higher calling. For us as Christian entrepreneurs, the desire to create God centered businesses is strong, but the path to purposeful planning, well, that can feel a little elusive. Without a clear structure, it's easy to become, well, overwhelmed and lose sight of what truly matters and find yourself working tirelessly in your business, but not on your business. So today's episode of the Truth in Business Show, Mary and I here are going to discuss how you can really move forward with intention, focusing on those meaningful action steps that really honor God and bring your vision, his vision for you to life. From developing a strong framework that really clarifies your steps to finding accountability and mentors and really the right support community. We'll explore what it means to have a business plan that is built on faith. Just perfect because we're doing this in December. So probably for the next year, you're going to want to listen to this.
Wow.
And we'll share really the critical role that we know a quarterly review plays in your business to help ensure that your business remains aligned with God's purpose, not just your day-to-day demands. Are you ready to take that first step toward a business that is purposeful, powerful, and God-centered? Let's get started. This is Deneen TV.
And I'm Mary Allure. Welcome to another episode of the Truth in Business Show, where truth is God's word and business is how we serve. In fact, for more than a decade, we've helped hundreds of women find God's calling for their businesses through our Calling Clarity course.
Mm-hmm.
And we also want to help you. That's why we'd like to invite you to our free training. And it's called How to Build an Impactful Business That Serves God and Perfectly Aligns with His Design of You. Without first waiting for a sign from God, developing a brand, or creating a website. You'll see it in the description below. Let it inform you how God wants you to show up in your business as He designed you.
And before we get into today's topic of how to plan better, purposeful action steps for your God centered business, we want to remind everyone to please subscribe to the channel here on YouTube if you're watching us. And don't forget to ring the bell so that you'll be reminded when we upload. And of course, if you're listening to us on the podcast, make sure that you're following on whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Give us that 5-star rating on that platform. And please do share the episode wherever you're listening. We just always have to remind everybody of that, right? Okay, so
important.
I know. So let's start the discussion today by talking about the importance of a framework for purposeful planning. And that's kind of like a tongue twister. So I know we'll probably get tripped up on purposeful planning as we go along, right? So we want to talk about having a framework, right? So a framework is, in the context of a God-centered business, really a structure that is guided on your values, the mission, and your calling. So God's called you into something that he's uniquely designed you for, giving you the experience, the expertise, and all of those things. But he's also wants us to put the framework of what our real mission is, which is to make disciples. And if we don't work in our values, we always know what happens, Mary, right? We start to feel icky.
Yes, we feel icky and things become a burden and you're not happy. That's for sure.
Yeah,
and
that's definitely for sure.
Important that the way we talk about a framework, it can seem abstract, like, well, what do you mean? But I think that's what we're going to talk about. I mean, I know that's what we're going to talk about, but what is your framework? Like, if you think of a regular framework, like maybe a scaffolding that would hold people while they're working, you're thinking about all the wood that's holding you up and the steps. But we have things that make your framework, which is like what Deneen already said, your values, your mission, your calling. So that's what we want to help you to realize, and so that it's not such an abstract thought.
Right, because then what happens is you have to make a decision for your business. There's an opportunity presented to you in your business, and how do you determine if you're aligning with God's purpose? We have a tool that we call the values filter, and we with your top 5 values that we've helped you determine, it's almost like we've helped you pull through these values. Is this going to help me do this value? Is this opportunity going to help me with this value? It doesn't have to hit all 5 of them, but if it
Right,
doesn't hit any of them, you've got to think, is this something that I really should be pursuing? Is this the way that I should be running my business? That's
right.
that's part of the values of the framework. Personality can help you with your brand voice. How are you showing up authentically, right?
Hmm.
And really focusing on your mission and your calling. How are you supposed to help other people and not try to do all the things? Do the one thing really well to really, that'll give you purposeful steps. I always think about, I also do like a word of the year, and I use that even as a filter, a framework of what
Yeah.
God wants to teach me during the year. Like this year, this past year, it has been chokmah, and chokmah means joy in Hebrew, but it's a joy that's like this satisfying, not just happiness,
Hmm.
but that down deep joy. And so if something's not going to bring me that joy, if something is going to give me the opposite of that, it's another way for me to have that framework built up so I can say, yes, this activity is what I need to be doing. This activity is what I don't need to do, or
Right,
this opportunity is not going to bring me that joy. It's not part of my, it's not hitting any of my top 5 values. And so these are the ways that we can look at a framework, right?
right. Yes, we can outline for you a simple framework, which is your vision, your goals, action steps, and reviewing evaluation.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because our vision is what God has given us. God has given us, He's designed us to do something. And if we choose to use that design, we're going to be in the perfect business that He has for us. So it's not like we're not going to talking about like a vision board or what we want to accomplish. It's what is God impressing on us to do? That's the vision, right?
Right. Yeah. And
And
then our goals.
mhm.
We if we're called to this, we have that thing where we want to serve. And we that's one of our goals where we want to serve our clients in whatever way that the vision that God's given you. So we have to keep on continuing to strive for serving.
Exactly. A business is there to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And if we know our design and we know the best problem that we can solve and for whom we want to solve it, the goals are there. And then we have to
Yeah.
break down those goals into those action steps. So our framework, we see the vision, we set the goals. Now we have to break it down into action steps. And actually we have to say, okay, this is the goal out here. And we actually have to kind of work backwards, give ourselves
Yeah.
benchmarks and say, okay, for this quarter, or like what we work in 888, is for these 8 weeks, what is going to happen? Where do I need to be by the second week? Where do I need to be by the third week or the fifth week or and then the end of the week of the 8 weeks? And so either way, you have to work backwards, and then you have to put those in. Okay, by this week, I'm going to get this done. But then, okay, so what are the steps that I need to do to get to that benchmark? And when we break
Right.
it down like that, I call that deconstructing the hamburger, and I think I'll put that in the description too, the deconstructing the hamburger video, because that's what we really need to do, because a goal can look really overwhelming. And if we're not doing it correctly, we're not going to take the action steps that we need to take, right?
Right. Definitely. You have to break down your goals into steps. Otherwise, it's just too overwhelming. Like you said. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then the next thing, of course, is review. You have to take time to evaluate what you're doing. You have to stop and look, am I still on the right path? Am I still aligned with my vision, my goals, and are my action steps still aligned with that? Because a lot of things happen. Again, we always have so many distractions and people and things pulling us different ways. We have to take stop and take time and review
I
and
know,
see if
because
you've gone off course.
if we don't do that, then we'll just keep like trudging forward, banging our head. What is
Right.
that? That definition of insanity. We'll keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result if we
Right.
don't take the time to stop and evaluate it. So I love
Yeah.
that. I love
Yeah.
that.
So the next thing that we'd like to discuss is to build accountability into your framework, into your structure.
Oh,
Accountability is so important, right, Denise?
oh yeah. I mean, I've been working with Christian women entrepreneurs, for a long time, met you through my networking and mastermind because for me, masterminding, helping one another, being accountable to one another, getting people to be that, what is Proverbs 27:17 says, that iron sharpening
Yeah,
iron. We need one another to make us better. And God gives us to one another to help us do that. That's why we have a Facebook group for Calling Clarity. That's why we do Q&As, so we can come
yeah,
together and bounce ideas around, get feedback on things. We're not supposed to be this like thing by ourselves, and that's why we have to build accountability into our structure, right?
absolutely. Yes. And of course, there's many different types of accountability. You can have accountability partners, like one-on-one. You can have groups. You can have like say in our Facebook group or in our Q&As, the group of Calling Clarity, or you can have communities that are again faith-based and or just business oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you have to find those people that are like-minded with
Mm-hmm.
you in business.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I know we talked a lot about the contrast of secular business
Yeah.
and Christian business. And really, the people who will get you the best and the most, and who can give you the best iron sharpening iron kind of thing, is another believer who is also in
Yeah.
business. So that's the best way. And again, even within those communities, you can find that one on one
Yeah.
accountability partner if you want. You don't always have to be a group think. It can be
Right.
someone that really resonates with you, or you
Mhm.
resonate with each other, and you can help one another. I've had all of these. So I
Yeah.
understand. And at different times in your business, this is what you would need to do. I mean, there are ways when you have especially when you're on a partner one-on-one, that there are practical ways for you to stay accountable. If in a group, it could be sharing your wins, putting that
Mhm.
goals. We do goals on Monday in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
What's your goal for the week? And then we do that wins at the end of the week. One-on-one, it can just be a weekly check-in and really be with brevity with this. I remember when I had an accountability partner, we would be there for 30 minutes. 15 minutes I would share, and 15 minutes she would share, and then we'd get
Nice.
off. It wasn't,
Mhm.
but then I've had other accountability partners that became like too social, and that
Uh,
did not do anything
I
for
know.
me.
It
So,
really does. I mean, it's great, of course, to
mhm.
be social, but like you said, make another time for being social and make this time for accountability.
Exactly, exactly. And again, we have to be honest with the progress we're making, find a way to track it. And that leads us into the third thing we're going to talk about. And that's the role of mentors and community support.
Mhm.
Um, this is part of our framework, part of our structure, is that really the having a mentor can offer spiritual guidance and business guidance. And that's what we've been doing the last 14 years or so. I know specifically for me, Mary came in when I was pretty new at doing all of this, but I feel like I was a pioneer in this. I think that
Mhm.
no one was talking about connecting your faith and your business together when I started doing it. It was something that I feel like God was really showing me. So you can have one person be a spiritual guide and be a business guide. It's not like one or the other. And there are people that do just spiritual things or just faith-based
Right.
things and just, business things, but you can have both, and you can find those people. And we're here. That's what we do. That's what I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
Right. And there are differences between mentors and accountability partners. Yeah, mentors provide that wisdom. And again, like you said, it could be just the spiritual wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and accountability partners help you with discipline. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you know that you have to show up and tell Janine that you did not finish your goal that you had planned, it puts puts a fire under you, and you're like, oh, I better do that because I don't want to show up and say that I didn't finish my goal.
Exactly. I mean,
Accountability partners help you with discipline.
yeah. So the mentor can be someone that you don't pay, or it could be someone that you do pay. A mentor or coach. You could, those are kind of synonymous terms, I think, a lot of times that, but a coach will really help you determine what you need in order to have purposeful action. A lot of times a mentor might just be asking you questions, whereas a coach would dig down a little bit deeper and really help you try to find exactly the next step, the next thing. So, of course, we've got some tips on finding the right mentors really who align with your Christian values and your business goals. So when you're looking for someone to help you with this planning, with this structure, you really have to look at their content first. It's got to resonate with you. If you won't listen to somebody if you don't like them, if you
Yeah,
don't think that they're wise, right? That they what they're saying really hits home for you, that they're your person that has your solution. That's one of the tips I think we can give. We have some more.
right. Yeah, you definitely have to. Well, like you said, you have to like their personality, so you have
Oh,
to
that's
match
different.
like that.
Yeah, that's kind of different
Is
though
it
than,
different? Okay,
I think it's
okay,
different because the
okay.
content is more like, are they hitting your pain points? Are
Oh,
they,
okay.
do they understand what your problem is? Now, because you could have lots of coaches out there that you're looking at, 3 or 5 or 10, that all have the same, not the same solution, but they're talking about the same pain points. But if you don't like the person's personality, that's a whole different thing, because as you know, we attract a lot of INFJs.
Yeah,
Why do we do that? Because my personality in, or your personality really connects with them in a way that's more trustworthy. So the personality piece is important, because not everyone likes the same outgoing person, or the
right.
same, or maybe
True, true.
somebody's, that kind of thing. they
Yeah,
don't they don't see themselves being able to relate in that way as well.
right. Definitely, definitely. I agree. Yeah. Another thing that's really important to me is consistency and reliability. That you see that they are showing up when they say they're going to show up.
Yeah.
They are loyal. They have loyalty to what they're doing. Of course, there's times when things happen, but they consistently show up and are consistently wherever they are, whatever platform they're on. You don't. It's. I'm sure everybody's come across something where all of a sudden you signed up for some kind of email list and you got the content, and then months go by, you don't hear a thing, and then all of a sudden you get an email from them. And it's like you can't. They have to be. You have to be consistent
Right.
with.
And not just like with the contact or the content, but also in the messaging. You
Mhm.
can't be like wishy-washy and one day say one thing and another day say something the opposite. You have to
No.
come
Yeah.
authentically every single time with a consistent message, so that you don't look wishy-washy. I mean, how many times have people shown up or not shown up? That's one thing. But then how about if they said something, well, you said this last time and now you say this.
Yeah.
That's
So
another part of
important.
that reliability, that consistency.
Mhm.
We really want to encourage you to join a faith-based community. Of course, we want it to be ours, but it's for really that mutual support, for encouragement. That's why we exist. That's why we decided to add that component into the Calling Clarity course. Yes, you can do the course in your own time, it's DIY, but you have the support of getting feedback through Facebook community, and then also by coming to the Q&A. So there's that FaceTime, like being, in the same room, even though we can't touch each other, we're from all over. So we have lots of different ideas and we bring those to the table.
Right. And another scripture that's coming up is the strand of three chords that,
Mm,
when put together can't be broken, or I wish I knew what exactly it was, but it makes me think of that when you're together, you can't, it's harder to be torn apart.
oh
So
yes,
yeah,
you stay with those ideas. You stay strong in what God is calling you to do. You don't get distracted, with the trends, with the
yeah,
things, with the squirrels.
yeah, the squirrels, yes. Well, let's take a moment and hear from you, our listeners or watchers. Why do you think it's important as Christian entrepreneurs to have a support system for business planning? We've brought up God's design of you, building accountability, and even having mentors and coaches. What does this bring to mind to you? What do you need? We'd love to know in the comments what God is bringing to your attention. And if you comment, of course, we promise to respond.
Oh yes, we love, that's kind of our love language, is people putting, every time a comment comes up, I always like, oh, I got it. It's cool. I love it. Okay, so let's look at the fourth thing that we're going to talk about with this structure, with this framework, is focusing on what matters most. Again, we've talked about squirrel, or AKA shiny object
I know.
syndrome, right? And it's really staying focused is essential. That's an essential action step. We have to write things out and stick with them. And I've said it before, you're 83% more likely to actually do a goal if you write it down, right? You're going to be that much better than everybody else. Only 3% of the population actually writes down their goals. So you're already going to be better than 97% of the people who are in business or who run with goals, right? And then with,
Right.
but the action of you writing your goals, you're 83% more likely to actually do it. So there's a
Yes.
lot of good statistics here.
That is really good. I know. Yes. And it's also helpful if you're overwhelmed, just to
Mm-hmm.
write everything down and look at it, getting it out of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so important because it contributes to your long-term goals.
Mm-hmm.
And, instead of working on your business, um, or I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Instead of working in your business, you want to work on your business.
Mm-hmm.
Really, again, planning, focusing,
Yeah.
and making sure you're prioritizing the right things.
Yeah. One of the things that in the 888 strategy, it's 8 goal areas, 8 weeks, eight
Mhm.
things a day. And we call it the super 8 day. And really it's to help you have the prioritized slash balanced life, right?
Yep,
So it's relationship building. It is, business maintenance. It is also business, income producing kind of activities. It's also your health, yourself, that self-care kind of thing. So we have all of these things built into the way we can approach every single day that gets us to the benchmarks of every single week, that gets us to the goal that we set for ourselves at the beginning. So again, we are want to break things down in a way that our super 8 day is that 80-20 rule, that
mhm.
just 80% of our results are coming from 20% of our actual uh, effort. Right?
Yes, yeah,
That a lot of times what we're doing is we're doing a lot of things that are keeping us busy,
right.
therefore we're in our
And
business, and
mhm,
not stepping back and focusing on the framework, the structure, the planning, to say how can we work on our business so that we can get to that place where 20% of our efforts are reaping 80% of the results.
yeah, absolutely. And it's really about prioritizing. And of course, what we prioritize and we want all of you to prioritize is God.
Mm-hmm.
And that means never neglecting your time with God every day.
Mm-hmm.
Your prayer, journaling, or whichever way you do it, whatever personalized way you do this, but prayer, prayer requests for your business, and
Mm-hmm.
asking for wisdom,
Yeah.
ideas, and praying for your clients and your team members if you have team members.
Yeah, I know it's important. I have lots of times I have women, and that's really the clients, and then I have friends, and then I pray for my friends, and so they're all in different colors. And it is important that we pray for those in our life that we work with, that we rub elbows with all the time. And it's not a bad thing. It's not like you have to have separate journals for, oh, this is my gratitude journal, and
Oh,
this is my prayer
right.
request journal, and this is my ideas for my business journal. Put it all together, and really knowing your design and how you really operate gives you the best way to create the time with God and create the journal that really is going to help you get a clear picture of what's going on, how you're structuring, how you're planning, and help you to really plan that out, where you're going, how you're going to get there, and to stay focused as you do that.
Yes. So now we'll talk about how to work on your business, not in, on your business by conducting quarterly reviews, that you know, like what's working, what's not. Um, and again, not working on your business, not just in it. You have
Mm-hmm.
to take this time quarterly to do this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think I know what happens because it happened to me. You just get so caught up working in your business that you don't know where you are. You end up lost.
Yeah. And before the pandemic, we used to take women on quiet retreats every quarter. And it was just a day away to be alone with God, to just do something completely different, we went out to a retreat center, we each had our own room. And those were my favorite times to just, okay, say to God, okay, let's like brainstorm everything out. I would do a brain dump and it would just, go like that. And so I would start that way and I would, bring lots of things, didn't always get to everything because I was really trying to work through what had happened in the last quarter and what could I do in this quarter. And those 6 hours just always like flew
Yeah,
by
yeah, definitely.
because you're
Yeah.
in that other setting. But now we have something that we can share with everybody, even if you don't live near us.
Right. Yeah. Me and I don't even live near each other.
No, not anymore.
Not
We have we
anymore.
have we have our reset retreat. We call it in a box so that you can get it. We're going to put it in the description. We'll download it so you can download it. And it's really going to help you determine what happened in this last quarter anytime during the year. Doesn't have to be at those 3 months. It can be just
Yeah.
yours every 3 months. It doesn't have to be the annual kind of 3 months, but it's going to help you look at what happened in the past and now to plan forward, to get a framework forward of stop. What are you going to stop doing? What
Mhm.
are you going to start doing? And what are you going to continue doing? So it's going to give you a framework of how to put that together so that you can have those overall goals, overall things that you want to do that you can then break down into the 888 or in the 12, whatever quarter that you're going to do. Um, and that's what we need to be looking at. What is working? What's not working? And like I said, start with the brain dump. And I have a video for that. Is this the second video that I've mentioned that I need to put in the
No.
description?
Oh, no, I don't think so. No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
All
Yeah,
right.
but
So
this is a great video. It's like, I think it's the brain dump and stop the swirl. I think it might
yeah.
be that one,
Hmm.
stop the swirl in your head, because sometimes you do. It's like there's so much stuff going on in there. It's great just to take it out, write it down. But watch the video. It's really good.
Yeah. And I think I talked about deconstructing the hamburger too. And that is how do I break down those goals? So I'll throw that in there too. And that'll be something that can help you have your reset retreat. If you don't understand what a brain dump is, there's that, and then breaking down the goals. And that's really, we have to reflect on questions like, is my business aligned with God's purpose? Are my actions really reflecting my values, the mission that he has me on? Am I serving those I'm supposed to be serving? If you
Mhm.
don't, I mean, you're not going to like everybody, but if you are finding that you're not the person that's really able to really help your clients, maybe you've got the wrong people in front of you. Journal about that. Don't be afraid to say, I think I got this wrong.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that what can you learn from it? That's what God wants. It's not because you missed it. It's because God has a purpose in that, and you staying close to him and aligned with him is going to help you see that. So don't get down on yourself. Actually work through it with him, right? So set that time apart, right, Mary?
Set the time apart, yes, and set the time for prayer, reflection, like you said, and revisiting, making sure you're in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
We really want you to seek God's wisdom first and pray for Him to reveal to you what's next.
Yeah. Right. And it's important, I think, to create this kind of structure for yourself, create a process that works for you so
Mhm.
you can reflect and always come back to that original plan and see how it's staying the same or how is it changing. Again, that reset retreat is really going to help you to really look at where you're at and where God wants to take you, where he wants you to go. And because you're recording all of these things, and we've put the reset retreat for just a 3 hour time frame, but you can take as long as you need. We've made it like a 9 to 12, so you can give yourself a Saturday morning or whatever you want to do, or just a day away out of your work week. But you could take as much time as you want. Again, our quiet retreats used to be 6 hours. So there is,
Okay.
you can stop, take a walk, get something to eat, and come back to it. You create the retreat that you want. This is just a guide for you to what to think through, what to journal through, what to be looking for, what to look at so you can have that. Okay,
Yeah.
we don't want
That's
to leave anybody without some really practical action tips and strategies for
yes.
planning their purposeful action steps. Now, we've talked about a few of these, right? We've talked about breaking down the action steps, having that vision out there. This is the goal out here, but then breaking it, working backwards and
Yep.
breaking it down into those actionable, manageable steps. Like
Yes.
if you're dreading taking the step, then the step's too big.
Yeah. Right.
Break it down more, right?
Yep.
It
Break it
really
down.
it really has to it has to be something that if it could be as something like I just have to open this book or this file. That could be a
Yep.
step.
Yes, it can be. It can be. And then you work from there. And then if you have to take the next day, you'll do another thing and slowly you'll get there. It's better than procrastinating on the whole thing
Yeah.
and not doing anything.
Yeah.
Um,
So if it's too much, that first step, then you've got to break it down into even smaller steps. That's the first thing. And when you're
right.
writing goals, and I know probably you've heard about the SMART goals, but they really are the best way for you to create an action plan if you
Yeah, they
use them.
are. I know. Yeah, it really helps you um, really see if they're realistic. I got to say that I think for me, that's the biggest part. Like, is this really realistic?
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Yeah, because it's going to give you, you have to get specific S, right? You
yeah,
have got to, it has to be measurable in some way. You can't just be like something out floating in space of how
yeah.
you're going to know if you made it. Has to
Hmm.
be attainable. You have to be really honest with yourself. It has to be relevant to you. Don't put on somebody else's goal and think that you're going to be able to achieve the same thing in the same way. And it has to be a time frame around it. You can't just do it forever or else
Right.
it's just a way of life. I don't know. It's not a goal.
It's not a goal.
So if you're writing specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely goals, you've actually written out how you're going to do it. That is
Yeah.
really, really smart. And of course, the best thing for time management is batching stuff together.
Yeah, definitely. It is one of the biggest things that you can do is it really helps you manage your time because you know that you're going to be doing this task in this time period and you get that focus and you don't stop until you're done with that task.
I mean, even like, especially for a lot of us who are working at home and we have other things, household duties that we have to have, it's even easier to batch things together. It's like, I'm going to go throw the laundry in, and then I'm going to take that 45 minutes or however long your load is to
Yeah.
do this task for my
Yep.
business. Hear the little bell go off, gives
Yep.
you a reason to get up. You go put it in the dryer, whatever, you come back. And if we can batch things together like that, look, you got your laundry done while you were doing your
I know.
business. You don't have to wait
Great.
till Saturday morning
Yeah,
when the whole house has to be cleaned or whatever it is that
I
you do.
know.
I think people don't think of how they can stack things together. That is so good for time management.
Yep. It's very efficient.
Yes.
Yep.
And
You're
then,
not
of course,
wasting time.
exactly. And then, of course, we have to maintain that faith filled mindset by meeting with our boss, the CEO, the chief everything officer every single day. Put that in your planner, write it in your planner, make sure that you keep that appointment. Because if it was a physical boss that was yelling at you from
Yeah.
his or her office to come in, you wouldn't ignore them.
Right. No, you wouldn't, definitely. And our final tip is to write everything down. You have to write down your action steps. You have to track your progress. This helps you really have a clear path.
Hmm.
Again, going back to writing things down, how important it is for your brain to
Hmm.
get things out of your head and
In
on
front
in
of
a
you.
plan in the front of your, wherever in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a sticky note on the wall,
Yeah.
on your whiteboard. It can be in a file. It can
On your
be in a
computer.
list on,
Yep.
and it can be anything. So,
Yeah.
okay, so let's recap these key elements, those purposeful action steps that really
Mhm.
can transform your God-centered business adventure. We talked about a framework to guide your purpose-driven actions.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
talked about accountability to keep you on track.
Yep.
We talked about mentors and coaches who can provide further wisdom to you because
Mhm.
they're probably ahead of you. We talked about that you need to focus on priorities and things that truly matter, not all the other things that might be distracting you. And then the last thing we said was the quarterly reviews, regular quarterly reviews to ensure that your business aligns with God's will, God's vision for you. Together, all of these really are that scaffolding, those pillars that create that roadmap that not only clarifies your path forward, but also really fortifies your business with intention and resilience. That's a good word, resilience, right?
Very good. We need it.
Yes. By structuring your plans around these elements, really what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for greater impact, not just for your own growth, but to serve a higher calling to God through your work to give him
Yeah.
glory. Remember, we do not need to have everything perfect to begin. We just need to start. We have to start where we are. Focus
Yep.
on the small, teeny tiny,
Small
manageable
tasks.
steps and let God really guide your process. Um, in Calling Clarity, we call this flying the plane as you are building it. And it's
Yep.
really about trusting that incremental progress. When you're aligned with God's purpose, will really move you closer to fulfilling the calling that you have. And it will be helping you to fulfill it each and every day. Building a business with purpose is not about an overnight change, but it's
Mhm.
about taking the steady, faith filled steps. Back here behind me, I've got a little pewter guy who's a little turtle. It's about that, right? Lean into this journey, into this adventure, knowing that God will continue to really shape both you and your business and really bring his vision, his calling, his will to your life through the work of your hands. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm
Very good.
inspired.
I know it is very inspiring. You truly want your business to be God-centered, fulfilling His purpose for you. We invite you to our free training called How to Build an Impactful Business That Serves God and Perfectly Aligns with His design of you without waiting for a sign from God, developing a brand, or creating a website.
Mm.
We'd like you to get the clarity that you need to know how God designed you, and it'll give you the right framework, the right resources, so that you can stay in God's will and do what He designed you to do. And you'll find the link in the description below.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today. And we encourage you to take just the first step, get the training that's in the description with faith and intentionality. That's a good word.
Yeah.
This is Deneen TV.
And I'm Mary Lore.
Have a great rest of your day. And as always, be filled to overflowing.